let's talk about one of the most critical documents in any project. Nope, it's not the business plan, it's the contract. This thing is the legally binding rulebook for how you work with your customers, your vendors, everyone. If you get it right, you've built a solid foundation for success. But if you get it wrong, well, you're heading for a world of pain. So today, we're going to make sure you get it right. So, what's the game plan? First, we'll get the big picture on managing contracts. Then, we'll dive into the two huge questions every contract has to answer. What exactly are you getting, and how are you going to pay for it? And to wrap it all up, we'll go through the absolute must-have terms that need to be in any contract you sign. All right, let's kick things off by zooming out and looking at the whole idea of contract management itself. Contract management sounds a bit dry, right? But it's way more than just getting a signature on a piece of paper. You should think of it as managing the entire life of your project's most important relationships. It's all about keeping track of the promises you make and the promises that are made to you. You know, when you really boil it all down, project contracts are trying to answer two really simple questions. One, what are you getting? And two, how are you paying for it? That's it. These two questions are the bedrock of pretty much every contract you're ever going to come across. So let's tackle that first question head on. What are we getting? This brings us to our first major category of contracts, which is all about the different ways you can get software from an outside supplier. Generally, you've got three main options here. You could go for a totally custom-built system, made from scratch just for you. On the other end of the spectrum, you can just buy something off the shelf and you use it exactly as it is. But right there in the middle, you've got what's often the sweet spot. Customized off the shelf, or COTS. This is where you take a standard system and then tweak it to perfectly fit your needs. Okay, so we know what we're getting. Now for the fun part. Let's talk about the money. Our second big category is all about how you pay. And trust me, this is where the biggest risks and rewards really come into play. We'll start with the one most people have probably heard of, the fixed price contract. And honestly, the name says it all. The price is set, it's locked in, and it does not change, no matter how much time or effort the supplier actually ends up putting in. Now, the trade-off with fixed price is massive. As the customer, you get amazing peace of mind because your budget is set in stone. But, and this is a big but, the supplier knows this, so they'll probably bake in extra costs to cover their own risk. And what happens if you need to change something? Oh boy, get ready for some really tough and probably expensive conversations. Now let's swing to the complete opposite end of the spectrum and talk about time and materials contracts. With this model, you're not paying for a finished product. You're paying for the effort, for every hour someone works, and for every resource they use. With time and materials, all the risk flips over to you, the customer. You get incredible flexibility. Need to change requirements? No problem. But all that flexibility comes with a huge financial responsibility. You are on the hook for every single hour and every expense. If you don't keep a tight grip on the project scope, your budget can just explode. So, is there a happy medium? Well, this next model tries to be just that. It's called fixed price per delivered unit. Here, instead of one big payment or paying by the hour, you pay a set price for each specific chunk of work that gets delivered. The beauty of this approach is how clear it seems. You know exactly what you're paying for with each piece. But the devil, as always, is in the details. How do you clearly define a unit of software? What counts as a unit? And what happens when requirements for that unit change halfway through? If you can't get those definitions right, this model can cause more headaches than it solves. So, we've walked through the major contract types, but it doesn't matter which one you choose, because they're all constructed from the same essential pieces. So let's look at the key terms that make up any good, solid contract. Think of these as the absolute non-negotiables. You have to be crystal clear on what kind of agreement this is. Is it a sale, a license? You need to spell out exactly what's being delivered, and, this is a big one, who actually owns the final product. Then you need to define the technical environment, the acceptance standards, meaning how you'll know the job is actually done, a firm timeline, the price, and, of course, all the legal stuff. Believe me, every single one of these can turn into a landmine if you leave it vague. And we'll end with this question, because it's something you really need to think about. A contract is so much more than a document. It's the operating manual for your project's success. Understanding these different types and making sure every single term is airtight isn't just about checking a box. It's what will save your project when things, inevitably, get tough.